I bet you didn't see this coming. 1 retrograde is enough chaos, but 2, the universe isn't playing fair this month. Venus retrograde kicked in on March 1st, and now Mercury is about to follow on the 15th. This is the universe pressing pause, rewind, and play all at once, and you're about to feel it in ways you never expected. Oh, and if you were born during a specific time frame, this retrograde will hit you harder than anyone else. If that's you, you need to know what's coming. I'll get into that later, so stay with me. But first, we need to talk about something most people completely miss when it comes to retrogrades. Because no, things aren't just going backwards. This is something much, much bigger. Everyone thinks retrogrades just mean things go wrong. Plans get delayed. People from the past show up like ghosts. But that's only half the story. This double retrograde isn't just reversing events, it's rewriting them. Venus retrograde has already started twisting the way we see love, desire, and self-worth. But now, Mercury steps in, throwing miscommunication and cosmic plot twists into the mix. And here's where it gets even weirder. March 15th. That's when Mercury retrograde kicks in. But there's also something else happening on this day, something so important that most people don't even know. This is not just another retrograde. Keep watching, because once you find out what really happens on the 15th of March, you'll be mind blown. Most people don't realize this, but March 15th has a history of betrayal, chaos, and sudden reversals. It's known as the Ides of March. And now, centuries later, the universe is echoing that same energy. Except this time, the betrayal is happening in your inbox, your relationships, and even in your own mind. Because here's what's really happening. Mercury retrograde begins exactly on this infamous date. And that means one thing: expect miscommunication at a level you've never seen before. Texts will be misread. Conversations will be misunderstood. Agreements will fall apart over a single misplaced word. People will assume the worst, and paranoia? It'll be in the air like static electricity. And the worst part? It's not just other people getting things wrong. You might be seeing illusions too. Sometimes the biggest betrayals aren't from others, they're from your own mind, convincing you of something that isn't true. But here's the secret no one talks about. If you know how to navigate this, you can flip the entire retrograde in your favor, because the same energy that creates confusion also heightens intuition. If you stop reacting and start listening, you'll start seeing what's real and what's just a distortion. So while others are falling into the trap of misunderstandings and drama, you'll be 10 steps ahead, catching the signals the universe is sending through the chaos. And trust me, there will be signals. But here's where things get even stranger. This isn't just about mental confusion. Something deeper is happening on an emotional level. Because over the next few weeks, something bizarre is going to start happening with your feelings. And they might not even be your own. Ever walked into a room and instantly felt a wave of anxiety, sadness, or excitement before anyone even said a word? Now imagine that, but turned up to 100. During this time, you'll start feeling other people's emotions so vividly you might not even realize they're not yours. Suddenly, you're overwhelmed with sadness, but you have no reason to be. Or you're randomly anxious, only to find out later that a friend was having a breakdown at that exact moment. It's like your emotional walls are dissolving, and instead of feeling like an individual, you become an antenna for everyone around you. You won't just hear what people say, you'll feel what they mean. And this can be exhausting. Imagine carrying not just your own stress, but the stress of your friends, your family, even strangers passing by. Empaths will feel this the hardest. You might laugh harder than usual, cry unexpectedly, or feel drained after social interactions like never before. But here's the thing, this is also a gift. If you can recognize what's happening, you can start using this emotional connection to your advantage. You'll be able to read people with eerie accuracy. You'll know what's really going on beneath the surface, even when they don't say a word. People lie, their energy doesn't. So while most will get lost in the emotional whirlwind, you can use this as a crash course in universal empathy. You'll understand people more deeply than ever before. But be warned, if you don't set boundaries, this energy will drain you fast. And speaking of strange energies, what if I told you that this isn't just about emotions? Because during this retrograde, there's something else reaching out to you. And it's not human. Some people will see them, some people will hear them, some will just feel watched. There are moments when reality feels thinner, like something is lurking just outside your field of vision, just beyond what your ears can hear. And when Venus and Mercury both retrograde at once, that's when the cracks start to show. Maybe you've already noticed it. A whisper when no one is there. That eerie sensation of being watched. But when you turn around, nothing. Shadows that shouldn't be moving, shifting just at the edges of your sight. At first, you might chalk it up to your imagination. But the more you try to ignore it, the more persistent it becomes. The thing is, not all of these presences are bad. Some are just passing through, drawn here by the energy fluctuations. Some might even be trying to communicate, leaving hints, nudging you toward realizations you wouldn't have come to otherwise. But if something feels off, if the air in the room changes, and you suddenly feel drained, uneasy, like something is just too close, that's when you need to be careful. Because the more you acknowledge these energies, the more they notice you back. And the strangest part? It's not just about seeing or hearing things. These energies aren't playing by the usual rules. They're messing with something even weirder, something that's happening in ways you never would have expected. Your senses are supposed to stay in their lanes. Sight for your eyes, sound for your ears, taste for your tongue. But right now, those boundaries are starting to dissolve. Maybe you've felt it already. A song that doesn't just sound beautiful, but looks like a burst of color in your mind. A memory so intense, it almost has a flavor, like something you could taste if you focused hard enough. Emotions that don't just sit in your chest, but radiate in strange, almost physical ways, like pressure, like heat, like texture. This isn't just some random quirk of the mind. It's called synesthesia, and usually it's something you're born with. But under these overlapping retrogrades, it's happening spontaneously to people who have never experienced it before. It's as if reality itself is glitching, rewiring the way we process the world. Maybe it's the planets twisting our perception. Or maybe it's something deeper, something waking up inside of us, forcing us to tune in to a frequency we normally ignore. And if the universe is bending the way you experience reality itself, what else is it trying to show you? Most people think retrogrades are a temporary thing. A little shake-up, a little miscommunication, then everything goes back to normal. But if you've been feeling off for a while, maybe even before March started, that's not your imagination. Because the truth is, retrogrades don't just hit and leave. They creep in before they officially begin, and they linger long after they end. Right now, we are deep in that shadow zone. But the wild part? The shadow period isn't just a warning, it's also a test. Right now, certain themes are showing up in your life again because the universe is watching. This energy doesn't just stop the moment Mercury goes direct. People assume when a retrograde ends, everything snaps back to normal. Wrong. The energy takes time to unravel, like an aftershock that ripples out for weeks, sometimes months. So even once Mercury straightens out, you'll still be feeling the effects of what's happening right now. This is why people who felt lost, stuck, or emotionally heavy before March 1st were already under Venus's shadow phase. It started before the official retrograde, gently pulling people back into old relationship wounds, old desires, old versions of themselves. And Mercury is about to do the same thing, with your thoughts, your words, and the way you process reality itself. So if you think you'll wake up one morning and everything will suddenly make sense again, think again. The only way out of this energy is through it. You're being asked to see patterns you've ignored, to recognize habits you need to break, to finally acknowledge what's really been running in the background of your life. And for some, that realization is going to hit hard. Because here's the thing, not everyone experiences this energy the same way. For some, it's just a minor inconvenience. But for others, this retrograde is about to change everything. And if you were born under a certain time frame, buckle up, because you're about to feel this at full intensity. Remember at the start when I told you that if you're born on a certain date, you need to watch out? This is why. Not all retrogrades hit the same. For some, it's a weird inconvenience, delays, miscommunications, little bumps in the road. But for others, it's a full-blown cosmic earthquake. And the difference? It's in your birth chart. If you have strong Taurus, Libra, Gemini, or Virgo placements, you're not just feeling this retrograde, you're living it. Venus rules Taurus and Libra. Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. And right now, both of those planets are in full rebellion. And it's not just about your sun sign. If your moon, rising, or even key planets like your Venus or Mercury fall into these signs, you're in the direct line of fire. This retrograde is pushing you into a complete mental and emotional restructuring. The things you thought were certain, they're being questioned. The beliefs you held onto, crumbling. You may start noticing strange patterns, recurring dreams, symbols, or even people from your past resurfacing. Some may feel like they're being pulled back to places they haven't thought about in years. The universe is playing back your past like an old film reel. But why? Because you missed something. This isn't just a moment of reflection, it's an intervention. The cosmos is demanding that you look at something you've ignored, something you were supposed to learn but didn't. And the scariest part? If you try to resist, if you try to ignore it, the universe will push back harder. The signs will get louder. The lessons will repeat. Because this isn't something you can run from. But here's the thing. This isn't happening to punish you. It's happening to wake you up. The people being hit the hardest aren't the unlucky ones. They're the ones being given an opportunity. Because what comes next is a chance most people never get. What if you got a second chance to fix something you thought was lost forever? We talk about regrets like they're permanent. Like once a decision is made, it's done. But what if that's not true? Retrogrades aren't just about chaos. They rewind time. They open strange little portals back to the past, letting things we thought were finished come back to life. Not to haunt us, but to be corrected. Think about it. Why do exes suddenly reappear? Why do old problems resurface? Why do we find ourselves drawn back to memories we thought we buried? Because the universe is saying, try again. There's something from your past that still lingers in your mind. A decision you regret. A moment where things could have gone differently. Maybe it's a relationship you walked away from too soon. A dream you abandoned. A chance you were too scared to take. And right now, the universe is handing you a reset button. But here's the thing. This isn't about forcing the past to repeat itself. It's about seeing it with new eyes. The person you were back then isn't the same person you are now. The circumstances might look similar, but this time, you're different. That's the real power of this moment. You're being given a choice. You can keep repeating the same patterns, or you can finally break free from them. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.